Radio. My name is Narayani Gaia, and I am your host. And I am here today with the beautiful and intelligent Alison Cross. Welcome, Allie.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me to be here. It's a
You're
pleasure.
you're super welcome. Yeah, it's really fun because we get to do videos now. We used to do video when I recorded, but we would never publicize them. So now we get to do video and audio. So if y'all are on YouTube, say hello, share with us below where you're from. If you're listening in the future now and you're in anywhere in the world and you're listening on Apple or Spotify or any of those places, please rate this podcast if you think it's awesome. We love 5 stars. And basically, Awaken Life Radio is a show where we talk about all things having to do with conscious embodiment that supports personal healing, helps people get in the flow after they go through personal transformation, helps us live intuitively and feel like we're really living our purpose. And to be like radically honest, my like big why for all this, for podcast and for my work with clients and the book that's coming out, all the things that I do, is so that at the end of our lives we can look back and be like, I freaking lived the best life ever. Like that's what drives me. um how about you, Allison? What's your like big like why for all the work that you do in supporting mental health? Um, and of course, Allison, you are a specialist in trauma therapy and you're an eating disorder specialist. You have a master's degree psychotherapist here in Asheville, North Carolina. It's just a little shout out to who you are so people know who they're listening to, and very qualified. What's your big why with your work? Just kind of spontaneous question for you.
Yeah, I appreciate the spontaneous question.
Mm-hmm.
The why with my work, um, well, it leads to further embodiment. Really, I'm with so many
Mm-hmm.
different folks with different nervous systems every day, and I like to um, help welcome the stories that come forward
Mm-hmm.
and be a part of the healing process and help facilitate that. And
Yes.
it's not about me that being the expert, it's about helping the client recognize their self energy, their greatness, their worth, their just
Mm-hmm.
the unbounding resiliency and love that we have within our bodies. And they have this power. It's just so many things have happened, and trying to survive has kind of blocked it and locked it down. So I get to uh, be a part of that awakening process, and it makes me happy.
Right. So it makes you happy to help people realize how awesome they are. Like if I was going to sum
Sure.
that into like,
Great. Yeah,
to,
that's it.
is it like to, is it the, so I had this teacher, Lania, who was my spiritual teacher for many, many years. You probably hear me talk about her because, again, pure transparency, we're friends. Um, um, and I remember doing sessions many years ago, and this was deep embodied awareness, spiritual awakening integration session. She's not a therapist, but she's a spiritual teacher. And there was this piece where she helped me realize the value of all the struggle. This was in my 30s, like the value of all my struggle and how your struggle helps you appreciate all the beauty and joy on the other side of it. And I know, like, if I put myself in your shoes and hear you and think about work I do with clients as well, there is something in the transformation from there here to there. It's funny because I thought you were going to say that your why had to do with your children.
Oh,
Oh,
they're
no.
great too. They're great too.
Mm,
And yeah, I believe in educating these girls of mine, and they're all really smart and making their own path through life. And
mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I get to be a part of that as well, a total witness to their embodied feminine energy that's
Yeah.
constantly shifting. It's a lot.
And when you say embodied feminine energy, is that because they're female, cis female, or what does that mean to you when you say embodied? feminine energy?
They are so strong within themselves. They
Yeah.
are so, like, I have 4 daughters, and
Mhm.
they are all just so unique and have so much strength when they're together, and they can laugh at their differences, but also have no problem, like, standing up for themselves and setting up their boundaries and asking for what they need and expressing frustration when they don't get it. There
Mm.
doesn't seem to be a limit. There's never a belief of I'm not enough or I'm too much.
Mm.
These girls know that they're enough,
Yeah,
and
with you as their
important.
mama. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm. Wonderful. Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing. Good job. I've met two of your four daughters, and they are both unique and
yeah.
really, they're both really cool and like
Thanks.
beautiful, just like different, very different and really beautiful like you.
Yeah.
Mm. Cool. So let's get into to that. Let's follow that thread around, knowing that they're enough and knowing that they can express themselves. I was raised, you've met my mom as well. I was
Yeah.
raised in a, liberal Jewish family and in New York where like expression is very welcome. Self-expression is very welcome. I never felt like I couldn't express myself. There are things that I didn't want to tell my parents for sure, and that like they found out as an adult for sure.
Yeah.
Drugs, sex, like things that they just didn't really even want to know. You scared me. I was like, what
What?
do I do? Yeah.
What?
So like things that they did not, that I didn't feel
Mm.
safe to tell them. And this is not going to be about, psychoanalyzing my family or anything. Not today anyway.
Same,
But
same.
right. We're not getting into like personal family stuff. You're a professional. But I can say that speaking freely and expressing myself is something that I almost took for granted until I got older and realized that not everybody, and started working with clients and realized how difficult it was for so many women to speak up. And then started tracking back on, my grandmother and being like, oh yeah, that was a different era. And my grandma couldn't she couldn't have a bank account or even vote when she was born. I mean, she couldn't vote because she was a baby,
Yeah.
but women couldn't vote until 1921, 21 suffrage, 22, 21,
Sure. Mhm.
something like that.
That's
And
right.
then women couldn't,
Yeah.
have a bank account until 1972. And just like these things as an adult, I started appreciating because we grew up having a lot of freedom as a result of women that came before us. But safety is a whole other, really, it's an angle. And I like to explore how
Mm.
like self-worth and safety really tie in so that our listeners can start to whether they're working with clients, because many people who listen are practitioners, or it's their own life, really get how to put themselves in relationships and environments that are going to enable them to feel safe to express themselves and be themselves. And like why that's like everything, really. Like it's everything when it comes to mental health, why it's not everything, but it's very, very important.
Man, I have so many parts of me that are like coming to mind that I want to, respond to that. I think safety is a
Mm-hmm.
word you used a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a really big part of, what it means to be human. And it's part of my work, and it's part of like who I am, as I show up every day and think about what I need and all the
Mm.
things. So
And when
when
you
you
say
talk
safe,
about,
go
mhm,
ahead. Sorry.
sorry, um, thinking about safety growing up, and you'll have to remind me too, like if there's an original, what is the original question?
It's okay. Let's explore.
Okay, no,
And
I
I
have
do this.
ADHD and I
Oh,
will talk all
it's
around.
totally fine. It's totally fine. When I interview people, even people that are like very famous and very successful, I ask them big questions in the
You like
beginning,
me.
like you, like rock stars. Yeah, like we, like I'm just saying, like everyone has that because I ask really big broad because
Okay.
topics because I want to integrate various levels of information because I feel like those parts of us get to be unified and on the same page. And there's a value to going, I get to take up space. I
Mm.
get to create relationships where I feel safe. I'm worthy. It's important that I give myself permission to do like all of that
Okay.
is necessary in order to develop safety. So my question for you is what is the correlation between self-worth,
Okay.
feeling safe, and then you said something that I wanted to open up as well, which was about it's
Mhm.
part of the human
Being human.
condition, being human
Yes.
to
Yes.
feel safe. So what do you mean by that? And
Okay.
just
So
just
thank
riff.
you.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's all you.
Thank you for reminding me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel like when we are born, we are automatically looking for ways to belong, right?
Mhm.
And we're looking for a natural way to connect with the caregivers, right?
Mhm.
And we come in with, I think, self-worth and self-esteem. However, energetically, a lot of things do get passed on through genetics, through, the mom when she's pregnant with us, um,
Mhm.
and then even the birth experience. How did that go? How was feeding? Was there any medical trauma? All of that impacts like survival from the very,
Yes.
very beginning, and we figure out, how do I belong? And I think that
Mm.
we learn shame so easily, like so easily, because we're that
Mm.
fragile. The
Mm.
need to be loved is just so biological, and
Mm.
it does help us to survive. You could be 3 years old and maybe toddle into the kitchen, and your caregiver is preparing food on the stove, and they turn around and see you, and they might say, "Don't touch the stove, it's hot." And that's not bad parenting, but who knows what traits or energy or genetics that child has. But they're not going to have a conscious thought of, oh, this parent is very stressed when I approach them and my needs are not worthy. No, but your body learns that response. All you know is that mommy yelled at you or daddy yelled at you or whatever, and you burst into tears. That's how quick we learn shame. That's how
That's
quick
how
that
quick we
imprints.
learn shame. So
Yeah.
that creates shame, like negative emotional imprints that have
Whatever we
ha-
make of it.
have us contract
Yes.
will will create experiences of shame. Okay. Okay.
I once had a
Mhm.
client who told me many, many, many years ago
Mhm.
that when she was a little girl,
Mhm.
she would pretend, like around
Mhm.
the age of 7, she would pretend that she was worthless, so that, and embody
Whoa.
worthlessness, so that when her mom was on a good day, mom would be good to her. It would feel good,
Right.
right?
Right.
So everything okay?
Yep. I'm just getting a little thread going on YouTube, but I am here with you. I am back with you. Yes.
All
Thank you.
right, cool. Yeah, so I think
She would
we're,
pretend that she was worth like so
yeah,
she was aware it wasn't an unconscious pattern. She was aware
she was
that
7,
she was pretending to be
worthless.
worthless.
Right, but also think about that. Like when
Mhm.
you have an idea in your head,
Mhm.
your body is also communicating all of that through your vagus nerve. I am worthless. And what does a worthless body look like? My body just kind of like shrinks in and tries to be
Total
small.
defeat. Yeah.
Right, exactly, defeated. So, so yeah, I think that influences how we feel about ourselves. And yet we grow up with parts of us that start to protect us, right?
Right.
Like, okay, so from now on, when I approach my caregiver for a need, I'm going to make sure it's smaller than what I really need, because they yell easily and they're not
Right.
okay.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm going to like try to keep pain from landing in my system
Right.
by doing that, right? So it covers up kind of the value that we have in ourselves. But yet we grow up and we go on about life, we find partners, And what you were saying about safety and finding the environment where you can like totally be yourself, I think that's so interesting because I look back on
Mm-hmm.
my youth experience, and I
Mm-hmm.
was raised as a conservative Christian,
Right.
and I knew all the things. I know all the doctrine. I was really taught doctrine from my church when I was little,
Yeah.
um, and I was one of those folks that like I was raised by really incredible people,
Yeah.
but they weren't emotionally supported by their parents. So they provided for me by giving me things because neither of them had money. And that was like, this is how we provide. And I knew I was loved all the time, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what to do with my feelings.
Right.
I didn't know where to, and then, oh, talking about sex? God, no.
Oh, no
I didn't
way.
even ask for a Ken doll. Okay.
Okay. Because you didn't want to
Like,
get in
I
trouble.
couldn't
Yeah.
acknowledge that Barbie was horny. All right. Like I could not do that because that would be like talking about something that I knew, even
Right.
though I was not educated on sex until I finally asked about it.
Right.
Um, I knew that the conversation was taboo and that no one could
Until
talk about
marriage.
it.
Yeah.
And it's only until marriage, and women are responsible for men's sexuality and all the things. So,
Women are responsible for men's sexuality.
oh,
That's what they
yes.
said.
Oh, very clearly, yes. Like there's all these rules, like you
You
can't wear,
knew that?
yeah, you can't wear leggings, you can't have your bra strap showing,
Oh, right.
you
Right.
can't wear a dark bra underneath a white t-shirt, you
Right.
can't
Right.
blah blah blah, this or this or this. I mean, it's total rape culture. Yes. Is it okay if I curse sometimes?
You can curse better on
Thank
YouTube to say grape.
Lots of grapes here.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a
lots of
little
grapes.
bit, it's breaking up a little bit. Your reception just got a little bit weird.
Oh,
So I want to make
okay.
sure that it's running okay on the YouTube. Okay. So,
Well, yeah, so safety. Like I felt like I knew what was safe. Uh-oh.
yeah,
Are
just
we connected?
take a beat. I don't know if you could turn your camera on and off real quick, but it
Let
seems like
me
it's
try.
streaming okay on that
Can you
side.
hear me okay?
I can, but you sound like a little bit like you're in a computer. So
Okay, how about now?
I think it's fine on YouTube. Keep going.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I know it might be windy and the band is just blowing everywhere. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Gonna do my best.
Okay.
Well, I was just saying that I thought I knew what safe was because it was taught to me from the outside, and I was taught to ignore messages from my body. So I went decades with thinking where I knew what safe was.
Okay, just do me a favor. If you can start and stop your camera, or if you can leave and come right back. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, maybe that would help. Start and stop your camera. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Um,
Yeah, I don't
keep,
know why I'm having internet issues.
yeah,
I
a
have
little bit
all
of
bars here that I see.
you're all bars. Okay.
I
Just
can tell.
okay. Keep talking. It's funny because it looks like it's streaming fine on YouTube, but for some reason, I'm not hearing it clearly over there. Let me see. Bum bum bum. This is just the thing about doing live sessions. Yeah, it's broken up. Will you do me a favor and just literally leave and come back? And I'm just going to talk for a minute.
Yeah.
Just like
Okay.
literally
Have fun.
leave their things. See you in a minute.
I'll see ya.
So, hey friends. So we are talking with Alison Cross. Alison is an incredible therapist and a mom of 4 girls. And I love how she weaves in her personal story of her upbringing with the things that she sees with her clients. And we're talking today about safety and the power of looking at how we grew up or how we attach as children. And yeah, it's a little bit better. Yeah, it's a little better. Hey. So just to summarize, I was talking about how you were talking about how when we're children, we're seeking connection, or now we understand that to be like a healthy attachment, and that something that is done with the right intention from a parent, like don't touch the hot stove, could actually impact a child who doesn't mentally understand what's happening, where they could feel like they've done something wrong and they can start internalizing shame because the nervous system was impacted as a result of the reaction from their parent, who was in that situation wholeheartedly trying to protect them.
Exactly.
And that when you were growing up, you felt loved, your parents' love language was stuff, but you didn't have that emotional, and because of the indoctrination, there are certain ways that you had to behave that included women are responsible for men's sexuality. You couldn't dress a certain way because it would tempt them and that was your fault. And that you understand now how that's led to grape culture, which is obviously now all coming to the surface in our collective. And we have people like you who have been therapists with their degrees and their experience, and parents who, and maybe myself, who are helping people to understand some of the root of the imbalances and where they actually come from. And I think
Mhm.
just to kind of bring that back, and then I want to hand the mic back over to you, to like why we're even talking about this. I mean, you just named it by going like straight into like the biggest violence against women. We're talking a lot about women. We talk a lot about women's paths with Awaken Life Radio because we're talking about actually embodying information and living higher wisdom, not just conceptualizing it. And
Right.
so I'd love to hear you speak more and continue to share about how this ties into like our present needs for safety, and how people could start to like dismantle some of their self-worth issues. And so we could actually break apart these cultures that say that, you know, that these cultures that don't feel safe in this world that doesn't really feel safe for many, many, many people that aren't
Yeah.
playing with the conservative narrative. I mean, you even had Marco Rubio in like the European Union yesterday being like Christian values is what America is, and there's all right, and like
It's just like, what?
right,
What?
right,
Trump's name is listed in the Epstein files more than Harry Potter's name is listed in the entire Harry Potter series. All right? Like,
yeah,
let's be real. Let's be real. Okay.
let's be real.
So, I think those of us that are awake are
Mhm.
furious about it. But
Yeah.
yes, so safety and self-worth issues. For me, my body woke up, my parts woke up, and I grasped onto an opportunity to speak to women in my church about what I was teaching clients that have eating disorder and body image issues. I wanted them to know how women are, this is a very violent world against women. How is that perpetrated in our culture? How has that influenced our culture? How
Mhm.
does that influence about ways that we relate to ourselves and other people? And I thought I was just going to do one workshop. And in fact, after my first workshop, a woman followed me out to my car and
Mm.
wouldn't stop talking about like what was going on inside of her and what I let loose. And I remember getting in my car and just sitting in silence thinking, what just happened? What did I do? I didn't even know how
Mm.
I was waking up or what to do with it,
Mm.
right? And I
Mm.
think that's a problem when we shut down our self-worth and shut down access to our self-energy. We don't know how to receive ourselves. But when it does come out, it's so scary. And I think that's what keeps people, men especially, from coming to therapy,
Mm.
um, to be willing to be vulnerable. And yet my job as a psychotherapist is
Mm.
to find the fear and find the grief and take that journey and help regulate so that that person knows that they're not alone, because part of
Mm.
self energy is also courage, and we can sit with whatever comes up together
Mm.
and feel within the self trust that comes from that process, the
Mhm.
self love and the true embodiment from all of that. It's like you were handed your own feelings. It's like in your head you
Mm.
could say this happened when I was little and this happened. And so then I went through some hard things and I read this book and I finally felt better and I made different choices. That's one thing.
Mhm.
But when your body feels the feeling and they bring it back to you, it's like it's happening in that moment. It's like
Exactly.
that 7-year-old can finally find her words and have access to them. And you are
Mm.
finally like there to receive it.
It's such
Is
an
that
honor. Yeah.
right? Right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
the client sitting on the couch, it's like, is this happening? Am I making this up? But that's what the waking up process looks like and feels like.
Mhm.
But safety is the number one ingredient to all of that. I
Mhm.
tell all my clients our number one goal is safety.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling safe,
Mhm.
we're not going to move forward.
I agree. I mean, that's why it's foundational in my work as well. And when we met, the first day we met, which was at a mutual friends neighborhood cousins party or something,
Oh, yeah.
where you invited me to come sit. I didn't know anyone there. I barely made it to that event. You're like, come sit with me. Come talk to us. Who are you? What are you all about? And I started sharing about my work, and right away we realized that our work is very similar in that when people work from the bottom up with their energy, with their process of healing, they can create containers of safety. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because many years, I'm finishing my book, right? So many years ago, I was querying my book proposal to different places, different companies, and there was a coach I met. She said, "Let me look at your proposal." So I sent it to her, and she looks at chapter 1, which is called grounding. It's a whole chapter about grounding, and she goes, "Oh, this is nothing new. No one's going to want to buy this. It's just grounding. We already know about grounding. This is nothing new." Now, that's one of 12 teachings. What she didn't get was it's almost like how peace is hard to sell because it's not like exciting, but yet like inner peace is what we're all looking for
Yeah.
in all of our desires. It's like to feel right and to feel connected.
Yeah.
And so it's very underrated, this quality of feeling safe. Now, when I work with people, I help them feel safe in their own skin through grounding. Do you also teach grounding to your clients?
Yeah. I use the word yield.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I studied the embodied recovery method for eating disorders through Paula Scatoloni and Rachel Lewis Marlowe, and just right here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And they created
Mm-hmm.
this model that begins with the relational cycle of movement. That movement is 5
Mm-hmm.
different movements, and it's how we relate our bodies to, it's how we relate ourselves to our bodies, the world, other people, our emotions, and the
Energetically,
energetically,
right?
and sometimes physically, even
Physically,
physically as a
Phys-
baby,
physical is
right? Like
energy
if
too.
you
Yeah.
think about, the famous book, The Body Keeps the Score. Um, why am I forgetting? Everyone knows this author.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
he's Dutch.
Oh,
Musician.
something. What's his name? Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
body keeps the
Bessel
score.
van der Kolk. See,
Okay,
there you go.
there you are. See how
Like
good you
if you
are.
imagine holding a baby,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their head is supported, their little bum and hips are supported, and their arms and their feet are kind of tucked in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your body keeps the score. Your body remembers
That's right.
being held. Your
Yeah.
head is supported, your feet are plugged in,
Right.
you're held. That's a yield, that's your back body.
Mm-hmm.
So, but however, I work with people that feel unsafe all of the time.
Right.
So for me to say, yield, relax, is there something in you that can receive a yield? What?
Mm.
What? Are you serious? So
Mm.
I try to get, is there a part of you that can access a 5% yield? Like let's
Mm.
breathe together and think about
Mm.
that exhale going out to the part that's clenched or holding.
Mm.
And if they don't feel like they can let go, how about the cheeks? How about your forehead? Can your fingers
Mm.
yield and receive support? Can your
Wow.
foot receive it?
Okay.
What is that
Right.
like for you?
Right.
And if that doesn't feel safe, I've got a ton of other things in here, like a pillow, a blanket, a stuffed animal, something. If they have a hoodie, if they want to put their hoodie up, they can put their hoodie up. I've got a blanket. What's going to help you feel safe? You're the expert on your own system.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Mm-hmm.
And I get people that say, I don't need anything. I'm okay. I'm like, are you sure? And then
Mm-hmm.
I just make it accessible. I said, well, may I introduce you to all the things in my basket? Can I just show you? And I'll show them all the things that I found at Aldi and conferences and odd this and that, things to hold on to. And so just so you know, this is here for you if if you so desire.
Right. And that's such a foreign thing for many people to hear. What do
Yeah.
you need? Right. So, what I would find when I start asking clients, what do they need too soon, is they have no idea.
Yeah.
Nobody, they're not asking what they need. They're not asking other people to meet their needs because there's so much evidence from the past that that just wasn't available and that's not available to them.
Well,
So,
for me,
mhm,
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know what the options were.
right.
I didn't know my options.
Hmm. So, as a practitioner, we kind of sit in to
Mhm.
be a safe person who cares.
Yeah.
So, when we were talking about this the other day, you were naming to me that you wanted to open up some knowledge around what it really feels like to be safe. I'd love to hear you talk about that. And also, you've also shared with me about the safe and sound protocol a lot. I don't know what that is. Is that part of your training in Raleigh? Let's hear a little more specifics
Okay.
around how, because I think at this point people get like
Hmm.
feeling safe is a way to start to give yourself permission to get your needs met and listen to what your body is saying in ways that perhaps you never had a chance to do before. And that opens up doors to self expression, to self worth, right? And maybe we'll pick that back up later, kind of what this all gives you and how this will change your life. But for now, let's slow it down and return back to how you create spaces where people do feel safe, in addition to what you were just sharing, and what the safe and sound protocol is, and possibly how our friends who are listening or watching in the now or the future now can implement in their own personal daily lives ways to feel safe, connected.
Okay. Um,
Mhm.
I love the baby steps, I think that's
Mm.
what bottom work is. It's baby steps. A top down approach is so like this and this and this, and your therapist is the expert, and I give you feedback on what I'm hearing and challenges and homework and blah, blah, blah. And certainly that is evidence based for some things, right? Um,
Mhm.
However, I find the longer that I'm in this field, which is 30 years now,
Yee-hoo.
I'm getting the people that have been through that. They've been through the treatment. They've been through the top down cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavior therapy.
They understand what
ACT.
happened in their childhood, but it's still
Yep,
in the body.
it's in the head.
Right, it's in the head,
And right, and
and
they've
it's not right.
right, and they've improved their quality of lives. They've improved their relationships, but their body still holds it.
Right.
Right. So, what I've come to learn from this process is that our bodies are meant to survive. We can take a licking, I mean, and keep on ticking. Oh gosh, I feel so old when I say that old line. And, and we're
Yeah.
also meant to let it go. We're meant to hold
Oh,
and
yeah,
we're meant to let it go.
absolutely.
That's also a part of survival. And there's not enough emphasis on the letting it go part, I think, because it's more feminine and there's more baby steps involved. So I
Well,
think,
it's
yeah,
energetic too.
it is energetic.
Just to jump
Yes.
in, when I had one of my mentors tell me that I was clearing every time, like some more shit would come up, she'd be like, "Oh, I was crying." She'd be like, "Oh, you're clearing," and I was like, "I am." So we mark it. That's like working with the higher mind and the body in relationship to go, "Oh, I'm going to mark. This is actually a letting go." You're also telling yourself that it is. And it's
Right.
totally natural and important. I mean, just think about all the digestive issues that we have in this world.
Right. You're
Right.
finding the fear, you're finding the grief, and you're regulating your whole system when you're able to let that go.
There's
Right.
literally energy practice, Taoist practices that alchemize grief into courage. Do you know about the 6 healing sounds? I have to send these to you.
Okay.
They're
Please
so amazing. Yeah,
make a
because
note of that for sure. Yeah.
it's an energetic
Yeah.
dynamic. It doesn't matter how much you mentally understanding if you're not letting go from the body, then
But see, we have so many parts that keep us from accessing those tears. And I think
true.
that's how we
Not
learn.
me, but I get that. That's what you're I'm like.
Not me either.
Make
Oh
it
my gosh.
stop. Make it stop. They just
Girl,
keep coming.
girl, tell me all about
Hormones.
it.
I know. I know.
And yeah, but I think that's the first step in safety is
Mhm.
establishing safety with the parts that protect us and slowing it down. And I typically see clients for a few years
Yeah.
as opposed to 6 months in and out,
Yeah.
right? So we're in a relationship together. And sometimes people say they feel stuck. Sometimes they feel like I've been seeing you for so long. Why aren't I better? I'm like, really? How do you define better exactly? Because I go back and I
Mm,
see we work on a yield, and that's where
right.
safety begins
Right.
for the client to recognize that they have a right to connect with what makes them feel safe and in control. There's nothing wrong with that.
And
There's
it's
nothing wrong
so
with that.
interesting because when we think about that, same thing when I teach grounding, we used to do it like relax everything, imagine a cord going down into the earth, anchor yourself. But then I started having people sink. So it's like your weight, you're on the beach and you're just making an imprint. So it's like more of a yielding. And you're connected and it literally changes the nervous system and you orient, right? In trauma healing we know that, like, you orient, you look around, you get here.
Exactly. Orienting is a really big part of that. And
Mm-hmm.
I teach a lot about polyvagal theory and when you know you are outside your window, right? In hyper or hypo arousal. And the goal is not to be regulated all of the time, but for us to be able to connect with the body in that way. I find that when folks are in their heads all the time,
Mm-hmm.
when I talk about nervous system, it's easier to relate. It's a gentle invitation that's usually people say yes to 99% of the time. They can
Yeah.
identify with that. But think about eating disorders, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
a reason why people binge and purge. There's a reason
Oh yeah.
why you don't want to eat, or that when you do eat, you tear it up in teeny tiny bites,
Hmm.
right? Like if you're jumping up and down on one foot and you're asked to eat a plate of spaghetti,
It's not going to
what?
digest.
What? Well, are you
Right.
even going to eat it? You're either going to scarf it down or you're not going to eat it, or you're going to take teeny tiny little bites. It
Mm.
really is quite logical and simple.
I was working yesterday at the tea house where I go and write a lot, and I was doing some editing, and there were two couples sitting behind me, and they were laughing so loud, and it was very cute. I actually liked it yesterday. It was fine, didn't bother me. They were just like like freaking out, and then their food got delivered, and some of them hadn't seen each other in a while. I heard a little bit. They were like friends for 60 years. There were two older couples. And their food came and then I was like, let's see what happens now. And like within like 20 minutes, they were laughing, but they were chill. They were like, they totally settled down. And
Taking your food, yeah.
I was like, this will be interesting.
Mhm.
Let's see what the food does, and it totally just. But what you're saying
Mhm.
is if your energy isn't settled and your nervous system isn't settled, you can't even take in the nourishment that's being available to you. So, how does that tie into relating? If I'm not present, how can I even receive the
It's
love?
it's not
Right?
about receiving. It's about what do I have to be? What do I have to do to belong to you? To belong to this container of a relationship, a family, a community, right? So it's a
It's
total sacrifice of
mhm,
how do I really feel? What do I really need?
right,
Right. And so it's not safe because
right.
think about it, like it's not safe to identify that
Oh yeah.
a lot of times because what if that client starts to ask what they need and the people around them don't want to give it to them.
And half the time they don't know how to give it to them because they're not necessarily in therapy. They're not doing the inner work to try to shift how they're showing up with authenticity and compassion and presence.
Right. What if they say, by the way, I think I'm gay. In fact, I know I'm gay and I no longer want to be with you.
Right. And I'm quitting the church. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so
Their whole
how do
world
you,
ends,
so
it seems like.
it's funny because when, my partner passed away in 2017,
Yeah.
and it's always like you're a therapist, so you have to follow a lot more rules than I do as a coach, right? So
Yes.
I acknowledge that, and I'm not asking you to talk about your, personal story as much. But for me, I notice very much that what I go through, what my clients are going through, often matches me and where I'm at, right? And you're completely blurred and smushy again. So, but it was
I see
working
that
for.
as trying to reconnect. Go ahead and tell your story. I'm going to go
Okay.
out and then come back in, okay?
Okay. So during those few years, and I was in a lot of heavy grief, my clients went through so much rapid change in their lives. Like they would burn the houses down, divorce, husband was cheating, left the husband, total career changes, stepping into new levels of experiences that were so radical and fast. But my energy was very intense. So when I was going through a lot of really intense changes, my clients were also going through a lot of very quick, intense transformation. New jobs, new relationships, divorce, big, like their lives were burning down during those 2 years when mine was also burning down, which was interesting. And I already have a lot of fire, so I can be like, so that's why massage therapy was so good for me, because it really brought me into spaciousness and grounding when I did that, and like cool and calm my fire down. But since I've moved through so much of that grief and kind of got a lot of that out, anger, grief, loss, pain in my body now, those of you who have lost people, often the things that come up are not even just about that one person. You have an opportunity to move through everything. So it was like that for me too. But after 3 or 4 years of that, my teaching and my facilitation really chilled out, and people's lives don't have to fall apart anymore for them to go through big changes, but they could take steps towards creating the community they want through getting the educations that are going to give them the things that they need to reach their goals, by having the conversations that were always so hard to have, knowing that they're not going to die because they have a difficult conversation, or at least they know once they get through it. But preparing people to also, it's so similar to your work, because it's that journey of regulating your nervous system and how you perceive that enables you to change your life. And there's no quick fix. There isn't.
There really isn't, because after yield, once you have that clarity and connection, then the next step is push. It's like our sessions start to look angrier and there's more clarity about, can you believe this is going on? They start to notice how people are running all over them and how they're not happy. Right. So they want to set new lines, but then the push in is, oh, all the parts of me that are vulnerable in doing so. Like I can't set that line because then this and this and this will happen. So before we set that line, we have to create safety for the vulnerability of what keeps us from acting on our own behalf. Right. And that's where a lot of my safe and sound protocol gets woven in with clients, with that yield and push.
Right. And it's so different, but with the awakening map, people start to work with their emotional body. So after we work with grounding, which stabilizes the physical nervous system, helps create safety, helps them get present and start to relax. I have them invite them to go walk in nature, barefoot, connect with the trees, like really connect with the earth, Mother Earth. Then, okay, let's see what the feeling is. And it's always the most difficult.
Yeah.
Because they're now tracking what their bodies, it's safe to discover what's in their body.
Yeah.
And this is what we talked about the night we met like 3 years ago. Same thing.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah. And then we work with the heart and like really like meeting yourself and giving yourself permission to get your needs met. And what I find really interesting. Okay, actually, go ahead. Finish anything you wanted to say.
Oh, couple of things about safety is it's almost like a PSA. I want everyone listening to know that just because someone has a lot of letters behind their name, they're an expert, they've been doing it for however long, and they can do EMDR or brain spotting or blah, 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 or whatever sounds interesting. If you don't feel safe, you don't have to be there. Right? Like,
Mm,
I have a code of ethics that I have to go by, the ACA Code of Ethics
mhm,
2014. You can Google it, it pops up. Make sure your helper is following those guidelines,
mhm,
right? You should not be texting outside of session. You should not be getting advice from your therapist. If your therapist says EMDR is really good for you and we're going to do it today on your sexual abuse memory, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You need to feel safe. I think
mm,
that's a mistake I see over and over again, where I see therapists abusing their own power and
mm,
learning a trick to make more money. And yeah, they are also personally invested and involved in helping
mm,
people, but they've missed so many steps. They've missed this
mm,
grounding, yielding work that we're
mm.
talking about. They're not catching on to all of the layers. And
I
that
have
makes me angry.
I understand. Because what they're doing is they're setting up a relationship dynamic
Yeah.
where the therapist continues to know more. It keeps you in this subservient relationship versus
Yes.
the idea, which is like sovereignty and freedom. Like you are
Yes.
powerful. Let me teach you a couple of tools so you can regulate your nervous system. Like that's everything. Your brain changes when you regulate your nervous system. How you make decisions changes when you regulate your nervous system. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remind there's a few clients that apply those dynamics of me being the expert when they come here. And I often have to remind them, I work for you. Like, let's
Mm,
not forget that. Like, I work
yeah.
for you.
Right.
And if I'm doing something or saying something in a wrong way or in a way that doesn't land right,
Yeah.
you can tell me because I want this to be a good, safe experience for you.
Yeah. What I like is like micro consent. So,
Yeah,
like
consent.
okay, well, I'm getting this. I don't know how this is going to land for somebody. I'm seeing like straight through a whole bunch of bullshit they're telling themselves. I won't say it like that. But like I'm seeing it and like but I want it to land. I want it to be received and I want it to be of value. So
Yeah.
I'll say, okay, I'm seeing something. It has to do with what you were just talking about with your dad. Are you, do you want to hear it? And like 99% of the time, they're like, okay. But sometimes they'll be like, you know what? This is just so much. I'm still sitting in what we were talking about 5 minutes ago. And I just need to like, I don't think I can like take anything. And I'm like, great,
That's
great
such an embodied
communication.
answer. That's
Right?
such an embodied answer.
Right, right, right. Or even with friends.
Yeah.
And this kind of takes me into wanting to open this up to talk about how we integrate personal healing that happens in sessions, retreats, workshops as receivers, as clients into daily life when we don't have the people around us who can also hold space for our new ways of thinking. And it's a lot, which is why often I end up training people in leadership because unfortunately, for those who just, all of us, really want to be carried and supported more and more and more, if nobody is providing a pathway for a change in your external life, I'm talking about outside a session, and you see the pathway, it's your job to create the pathway.
Yeah.
And so what that might look like is, my abuser is never going to have the conversation with me,
Yeah.
but it's my job to be able to speak up next time anybody treats me with any way that triggers me and say, this is not okay. And if you continue to talk this way, I can't spend any more time with you. or not even
That's
if they
hard.
choose.
That's
Well,
yeah,
I'm just saying, like
yeah,
in terms of
yeah.
leadership work, and that's why we don't do that until like
Self leadership. Yeah.
7 themes in. I mean, that's more like once you deeply understand your pattern, you regulate your own nervous system, you understand the purpose, you're actually grateful that you've learned this lesson. You're able to
Yeah.
let go at will, and then we start working with like, okay, how can you now create the kind of relationships that you really desire on the other
Right.
side of these stories, which
Oh,
actually I'd say only
absolutely. Yeah.
50% of my people ever get there. A lot of people, they'll stay
Yeah.
in grounding. They'll be like, that's enough. Like I'd say
That's
10%
enough.
are like, that was everything. Thank you for teaching me that. I need to sit with
Well,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a risk to reach for what you really want, and it might take years to be able to take the risk to do that because it can hurt like hell.
Yeah.
It can hurt like hell when your body wakes up and you recognize the patterns that you've been conforming to, their inauthenticity, and how your survival skills have gotten you there, but you're ready for more. You're ready to be more
Yeah.
of your authentic self,
I
and
think
the
that's
clarity
me.
of what you want to reach for is there.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good to own what's in my container and what's in their container. And
Right.
if their container continues to gaslight me or judge me or whatever, why am I in that relationship?
Sure.
Like
Sure. Yeah.
if they
There's that.
can't,
Yeah.
and I can own things, I can receive feedback. I no longer take it super personally. I take it as welcome information. But it's interesting. I keep thinking, and a part of me keeps reminding me that when I went through my journey personally, walking through purity culture and then healing and making some significant changes in my life, I felt, number one, more closer to God than I ever have before. And number two, all of my Christian friends, except for maybe two, have never contacted me. Like the rumors have gone rampant. I've fallen away from the faith. I've done all these things. And it's like
Well, you're
and
giggling.
I'm
That's
like,
a good thing. At least you're
I thought we
laughing.
were friends. Where did you go? So
And
it's
that's
almost
the
like,
cost. Sometimes the cost of
right, right.
listening to
But
yourself is
I'm
new
not like,
friendships.
I'm aware of the injustice of that, but I'm not sad about it. It's almost like I've heard this term Scottish revival, and I don't know what it means. I've Googled it even, but I think it means the people that need to leave left and bye. I,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
you're also a grown woman. You're a mother of 3 adult children,
yeah,
and you
and
can
a
say
baby
that
adult.
now, and a baby adult, a beautiful baby adult, a young adult. And right now you're like, bye. But 20 years ago, you probably cried. So, and you've
Oh, a lot.
talked about this in therapy.
Cried a lot. Cried a
Right.
lot, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot.
Yeah.
And it's really hard, but I can't imagine going back to that. But back then when I was there looking
Yeah.
forward to what I thought it was, what it could be, it was just like a glimmer or an idea. But I was always told what I wanted was not God's will. That's my will. That's of the flesh. But no, that was God's calling on my life was to live in
So,
these ways.
where's God?
So
So, where's God?
he was talking to me the whole time, waiting, 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 waiting for
And
me to wake
you're
up.
pointing to here, right?
Self
So
energy.
even Christianity, so all religions hold truth, right? So all religions in essence have an essence of truth because they recognize that we are not our ego and that there's
Mm-hmm.
something bigger in control, which there always
Right.
is. And all traditions point to who we are as light and as love. Christianity, the kingdom of God is within. So the heart, for me, Creator speaks to me through my heart. If my body is like, I don't want to, no, that's not separate from God. That's me as a spiritual being having a human experience.
Right. Right. And I show grace to those parts of me. I think,
Because of your practice.
yeah.
And that's the practice is like,
Well, yeah. And I don't, yeah, that's a whole other podcast, right? Talking about
let's do it.
Christianity, spirituality.
Let's do that.
whatever. Yeah, we
Let's do
should do
that
that.
again. Yeah, we'll do that.
And I also want to respect like where people are at that are listening to this, because everyone's at a different place, and that's good and okay. And
What I'm
yeah,
saying doesn't take away from
yeah,
them being in religion or not in religion.
great.
Either way, religion is supposed to, in the essence, from my 30 years of religious studies and practices, points you back to the divine, and you are not separate from creator. God exists within all life. So just, I have to name that. Anyway, safety. Right. So your life can really tear apart. And that's when having professional support
So,
is
so I'm
really
just
helpful.
laughing because it's
Yeah.
like safety is worth it, and your life is completely going to.
No, but it doesn't have to if you have the right kind of support. I mean, listen, I
Yeah.
have what's called like my animal totems are, one is an eagle, because an eagle came to me in a very emotional, I was praying very hard outside, and my family, there was a little argument in the house, and like it wasn't a big fighting house, but it was an adult experience, and this eagle came. I was on a lake, and like came and like circled over my head and like talked to me. So I've had experiences. And my other medicine is butterfly, because I one time went on a shamanic journey with my cousins, and I found the butterfly, and I love change. I
Mhm.
love change. The only thing I don't change much is like my hairstyle, but otherwise, I love moving. I love meeting new people. I love new kinds of things. I'm a spring baby, like new,
Yeah,
new, 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 new.
that's you. That's you.
I love change. Change is
Mhm.
interesting to me.
Mhm.
Some people don't like change.
Yeah,
And how
it's
can we,
disorienting.
yeah, it's disorienting, but it's exciting. So, how can we have great change and go through transformation in personal development work in a sustainable way? And what you're saying is really key. It's, patience, taking your time, getting the right kind of support with people who are going to empower you and are
Yeah,
trained to have the therapy centered on your consent,
yeah.
and create an environment where you get sequential steps that which are very similar to how I work,
Mhm.
that enable you to be what I call personally sustainable in your
Safe,
growth.
safe, and in control. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I realized we didn't get a chance to talk about safe and sound protocol.
Okay,
Um,
go ahead, drop it in Cliff Notes. 3
ah,
minutes.
yes. Well, on my website, bodybeautybravery.com, I do have a whole page on safe and sound protocol, what it is, what it does. Basically, it's a music therapy that accesses your vagus nerve, which
Mm-hmm.
your vagus nerve is one of your largest cranial nerves that comes out of your brain, and it
Mm-hmm.
connects to your entire face, your nerve endings in your face, creates your social engagement system. It regulates your heartbeat, regulates your digestion and elimination. Girl, it's everything.
It
So
is.
it's like listening, taking in a dose of
Mm-hmm.
safety, and it resets your nervous system. And it's a different kind of body work, and it's very gentle. So if you're resistant to psychedelic trips or ketamine, I would suggest trying SSP, Safe and Sound Protocol, or even if you've done those things and like those things, Safe and Sound Protocol is a
I love
really
it.
cool emerging intervention for every body.
I need to
So,
learn that. I want to learn that and experience it too. One of the few things I know about the vagus nerve is one of the things that helps to tonify the vagus nerve and support nervous system regulation is sound healing. So that makes sense. And then also sounding, toning, making sounds.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
Self-soothing things, or singing, to
Yeah,
regulate the nervous system. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's really an inside job. I mean, I'm, hashtag Epstein files. Like I'm like,
Ugh.
I'm way too obsessed with it. It's so everywhere. And it's such a, I have these friends, they're Tibetan Buddhists, and they taught me just through their own personal experiences of like what it means to like indulge like it's very indulgent to spend hours indulging in even like negative karmic things like sex trafficking. Um, or just to like spend day. And what you teach and represent is like, if it helps you relax or heal or understand or feel safe, indulge. Like there's no guilt when you and I go out and get a drink or some food. It's like always guilt free, and I love that. And I understand that when we try to control to fit in so that we feel pretty enough, healthy enough, beautiful enough, loved something enough, actually there could be a really opposite reaction. I know that from my own life. If I'm doing a lot of cleansing and purification, then when I'm done, I'm like, what can I, like, I want to go the other way. So there's something very healthy about getting your needs met consistently over time, or feeling safe consistently over time, that changes how you make decisions that affect your life.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
bring this home for us in what you've seen with your work of how people start to live differently as they really integrate the feeling of safety and vagus nerve regulation in their bodies?
I see food gets regulated, right? Like
Okay.
it improves the relationship to body and food. Food is the rhythm of life. It's a great time to check in. I think our hunger is
Mm,
a gift from God
mm,
to look inside and become aware. How's this day going for me?
mm.
Um, what part of me is holding on and why? Where's the fear? What might I need that I've been avoiding?
Mm,
So I think there's a greater introspection and awareness that the conversation is always deeper and there's more going on.
mm.
And body image disappears.
Body image issues.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we all have these judgments of our bodies, but I think that um, when your body image is really high, like and negative, and you have all these intrusive thoughts, your body proprioception is off and your nervous system is off. The feeling of your body in space is like wonky, for lack of a proper medical term. It feels like blurry. So I want to help the client find the edges and regulate. And that's always a part. That's always something else,
Right,
right? There's
right.
always some wisdom in the body around that,
Always. And it's
right?
interesting because as a friend, I've noticed with you, and maybe you've noticed with me, when we're hanging out, having a chat, having a bite, and one of us asks a question, like I've seen you go, let me wait a second, let me check in with what's true for me, and you're giggling, but it's true. I mean, it's a way that when you surround yourself with other people who are self-aware and taking responsibility for their feelings and their needs, the conversations that you're having with people change. And it becomes normal for my girlfriends to tell me what their body is saying every single day. And my relationships have shifted so much. 90% of the people I spend time with are practitioners or
Well,
were
and
or
yeah,
ex-clients. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, that people are healers like out in the world
Yeah.
when they're like cackling too loud, or they both have their hands on their hearts, their eyes may be closed. We may be wearing cardigans and or glasses.
Well, I adore you, and I know you have a day. You probably have a client now. You're so full on. And I always look forward to our private chats, and it's wonderful that we got to do this. I really pray that it brings great value. If people want to follow up with you, they can click. I will put your website below. Body Beauty Brave. What is it?
Body Beauty Bravery, you almost had it.
Body Beauty Bravery. I will put
.com.
it .com. I will put it below in the YouTube notes as well as in the show notes. If people want to book sessions with you, they can reach out to you if they want you to be on their podcast, etc. I want to create some fun stuff with you locally in the next few years. So I hope we get to do some events
We'll
and
do something
cool stuff
fun.
together.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, any final words before we close out?
Folks can contact me through the website. Just go to bodybeautybravery.com and all the stuff is there. All the contact info is there.
Thank you so
So,
much. And thank you so
yeah.
much, everybody. Feel free to share any questions, thoughts. And if you love this episode, absolutely feel free to rate it, subscribe, share it with friends, especially people that maybe feel isolated and alone and like nobody understands them. If they're open, you can ask them, would you like to check out this podcast? You know, because we value consent and sovereignty. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Love you. Bye.